Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of my F1 2021 My Team Career Mode. This is the Mexican Grand Prix in Season 2. So heading into this one, we've had varied results over the past few races. Spoiler alert now, a few race wins, as well as by far the worst race of our F1 career in Russia, where we did not make it past the end of the first sector. But nonetheless, we will continue on and continue to push forwards in this championship challenge that we are starting to make towards the end of this season. But we need to make sure we don't slip and don't have any more bad results, because we just can't afford it at this stage. So here we go then, the R&D standings. We are second fastest now, and that shows in Q1. Although we are not second fastest to Mercedes, we are second fastest to a Ferrari, who are, I think, 5th in the R&D chart. So there's really nothing in it between the top 5 teams here, and it's going to be awfully close to see who is fastest on each individual track. It will just come down to who's got the strongest package on the day, and whose car suits each track better, I think. So Ferrari looking strong here. And also worth noting is George Russell. He was able to get out of Q1 in the Williams, so that's very good for him. The two Alphas get knocked out along with the two Hasses, Lance Stroll in the Aston Martin and Matsushita in the AlphaTauri. But Q2 then, we continue to show solid form. The third fastest, Yuki Tsunoda, gets through as well. So getting into Q3 no longer a problem for us. We both seem to be consistently managing that. But yeah, it's really just up to even Mazepin getting through into Q3. I just noticed that. But yeah, it's really up to the drivers, it seems, in Q3 and in the races to try and get the most out of their cars, because you can just see by how mixed up the top 10 are. It's really
We've
just
only got 2 laps of fuel left.
There's nothing in it in terms of car performance. So we'll see how it goes in Q3. But as you can see, as I've been struggling to explain all that, it is now raining here in Mexico, and Q3 will be in intermediate conditions. So this is right towards the beginning of the session. I did a few laps on the intermediates, because I thought that's when the track would be at its best with the rain coming down. The track's probably only going to get wetter and wetter. So yeah, this will be the best time for us to set a lap, and we've done a few consecutive ones. As I said, this is our second flyer in a row, and the best time we were able to set at the moment. But you can see purple middle sector, green first sector, so making good speed on this lap so far. As we now come around the final corner, we'll line it up onto the straight and cross the line, very cautious out of this final corner in the wet conditions. It's a purple last sector, and we are able to improve to the fastest time of the session so far.
And with qualifying complete, let's review our top 3 today. Norris, Hamilton and Yuki Tsunoda. Well, that wraps up qualifying, but don't worry, we'll be back tomorrow as we head into the Grand Prix.
But in the end, it's only good enough for 8th position, with Tsunoda all the way up in 3rd, so it's a great qualifying for Yuki. But for us, that really wasn't good enough. We only out-qualified Carlos Sainz, who's been having some issues with that car recently, just not really being anywhere near his teammate. And Mazepin, we know, has really been struggling to get to grips with that Mercedes. But there are the championship standings briefly there. But yeah, 4 manufacturers on the first 2 rows, and the 5th one on row 3. So we're all up there and competitive. We just need to make the most of it on race day. Let's get into it.
Here we go then. It's time to race in Mexico City, a place which gave Honda their first ever victory back in 1965. American Richie Ginther won from 3rd on the grid. And what are the Honda-powered cars this year? Well, Red Bull have been going strong here in recent seasons, so can they keep that record going today? At 2,285 metres above sea level, the thin air of the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez poses a unique challenge, not just to a driver's skill, but to the efficiency of their engines as well. 17 corners make up a lap of this 2.6-mile circuit, and you can expect incredible speeds in excess of 220 miles per hour. And overtaking too into the hard braking zones of turns 1 and turn 4. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Lando Norris will lead us away from pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Verstappen, Perez, Charles Leclerc, the scientist, Mazepin, Fernando Alonso, Vettel, and Yuki Tsunoda. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Russell, Ocon, Antonio Giovinazzi and Stroll, Ricciardo, Matsushita, Valtteri Bottas and Carlos Sainz. They've taken a grid penalty. Mick Schumacher, Latifi, Gasly and Kimi Raikkonen finishes off the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
After the points finish last race, let's aim to keep the momentum going.
Huge disappointment for Yuki. After his best qualifying, he gets a grid penalty along with Sainz and Ricciardo, so they've all got some work to do. But nonetheless, our strategy to stop two tests of softs to the mediums will be ours. But yeah, we've been elevated up into 6th after the grid penalties, so let's see what we can do from here with the 5 red lights. And it's lights out and away we go for the Mexican Grand Prix. And it's a bad start for Hamilton off the front row. Decent one for us, very good one for Perez as he goes to the middle and makes the move on Lewis Hamilton. We go to the inside, Hamilton blocks that all the way off, almost onto the grass for both of us there. We go to the outside and there's a huge window of space. We go for the big dive all the way around. We have to avoid the Red Bull car there as they almost make a bit of contact with us, but nonetheless we make it through and take the position all the way up into 2nd. Lando has got a monumental lead.
Concerns at the moment. Just focus on the driving.
And we don't have any damage. I'm not sure if we had a bit of contact with the Red Bull car, but yeah, we managed to get away with it. But they went for a dive on us there, and it was Max Verstappen all this time, and he went for a very late move there. We were already turning into that apex quite early. Verstappen just sent it up the inside and made a bit of contact, sent himself into a half spin, and he tumbles down to the back.
Keep taking care
and once again we get away with no damage, but Lando has made an absolutely storming start in this race, and we are struggling to keep our machine on the road with Lewis Hamilton right behind us. On heavy fuel, this car's handling very, very differently to how it did throughout the rest of the weekend, and yeah, we're really not in a good rhythm at the moment. But Lando Norris, just unbelievable start for him, and he is already looking good for this race, taking a massive lead out of the first lap. He is well out of DRS range, but here's a replay then of the start at the front, and you can just see the difference between Lando Norris and Lewis Hamilton off the front row. Just perfect conversion off the line for Lando Norris. Perez, you can see straight away moving to the middle and making it 3 wide as they all head along. We were putting the pressure on Hamilton, and he compromised his line very much into the first corner. We went to the outside, but Hamilton was quite late on the brakes. Verstappen didn't really have anywhere to go in the middle. I was running wide there intentionally just to make sure, because I knew they were going to be 2 or maybe even 3 wide on the inside of me. So yeah, that is we were lucky to get away with that, but nonetheless we look at this. This is I think Valtteri Bottas or Mick Schumacher making a pit stop. I believe that's Mick Schumacher actually, and indeed it is, as we look at the replay of the start, and we'll see what happened with him. That was Carlos Sainz getting a great getaway there from alongside Schumacher. Schumacher not with a good one, and he is looking to the inside to try and make up some ground. Goes to the middle late on the brakes. He makes a bit of contact with his teammate Valtteri Bottas, who moved back to the middle to try and cover that off and find himself a bit of space heading towards turn 1, but in doing so cut off his teammate, and now he's got a bit of damage. Charles Leclerc has unfortunately retired from the race with a mechanical failure as well, and he is out of the race. So there's one top contender out. So it's not been a good run for Ferrari recently, with a double DNF in Italy a few rounds ago. And Sainz down the order in this one, along with Leclerc now out. Is not happy times for the team in red. We go for a big dive on the inside. Lando and Norris go way too deep, but we managed to get it stopped, and we do make the move stick. And out of nowhere, we've taken the lead.
Okay, good work. Great pass.
So we've been chipping away over the past few laps, and all of a sudden we find ourselves in the race lead. And it's not going to last too long though, because Lando is straight back past us. We're defending from Hamilton as well. Dive up the inside of Lando. We can't quite get there. Hamilton round the outside. And we're going to shut that door, try and give him a really tight line into the chicane there, and we close that off and make sure that we stay ahead.
No tyre concerns at the moment, just focus on the driving.
And once again, we get away with no damage. Continuing on then, we've got Lando Norris in our sights. Once again, can we make a big dive to the inside here? We have a look, but we can't quite get through, and Lando holds on for a little bit longer, but we're putting the pressure on for now. We'll see if we can make a move maybe onto the straight as we try and line this up and come out of the final corner. There's a car going to pit lane there. It's Tsunoda. Tsunoda's heading into pit lane, and he is now a long way behind, so Tsunoda's had a problem, and it's a puncture spontaneously for Yuki Tsunoda, and he has tumbled down the order. Great job to get out the way, but from running in a very nice position in this race, even with the grid penalty, he made a good start, was gaining ground, but what a disaster for Yuki Tsunoda, and that's ruined his race because he's now a lap down. And I mean, even just that happening in the final sector, you have to go so slow when you have a puncture, and that's cost him just so much time. But while that was happening, we have a look at another replay here, and that is George Russell and Antonio Giovinazzi getting together at the end of the first little chicane section, and that's done a bit of damage to Russell's car, unfortunately, and he is now struggling a bit in this one. But just up the road from that is this fight. This is 3 wide between Lance Stroll, Max Verstappen and Esteban Ocon. Stroll in the middle, and he manages to keep himself there, and he's going to get through here. He's got a good exit, and he's come out on top. So Lance Stroll, great driving there, and it's quite rare for the car in the middle to get through, but Lance Stroll doing a good job there, ahead of Verstappen and Ocon third in that queue now, with I think one of the Alphas, Giovinazzi, next in line. But great stuff for Lance Stroll, but Verstappen right on his tail now. He looks to the outside, now switches to the inside for the stadium section. Ocon is on the outside line, he's got there, and he sends it around the outside. Great move, Esteban Ocon. Stroll gets pinched in the middle, bit of contact made between the three of them. Now Gio down the inside of Verstappen. Great stuff from Gio to get that fight started, but I don't think he's going to get through there, as now Lance Stroll I think has got a bit of damage, and he's got a pit now too, so that's so unfortunate for Lance Stroll. He was fighting well there, but yeah, he clearly did not have the pace of Ocon and Verstappen. He almost gets held up by Tsunoda, just about gets away with it, with Tsunoda going slowly down the pit lane with that puncture. This is all happening at the same time, but yeah, new wing for Lance Stroll, and he'll get moving again. But yeah, that's unfortunate. And yeah, Russell was in the pit lane at the same time. But anyway, we continue our fight with Lando Norris banging wheels at turn 1, but we get through and back ahead of Lando. Lewis Hamilton buying into the conversation as well.
No issues with tyre wear for now. Keep taking care of them.
And now Hamilton's moved up into second position with Perez in fourth. Not really interfering with our fight, but well within range if the three of us come to blows at some point. But right now we're keeping things clean enough, and we've avoided damage to any of our cars. So let's hope that this continues. But eventually we're going to peel off into the pit lane. You can see Lando Norris and Lewis Hamilton have done the same some laps ago. So into the pits we go, and we'll get another set of soft compound tyres on the car. This is actually earlier than our scheduled stop, but I just didn't want Lando and Hamilton to get a big undercut.
One stop left in our strategy.
So yeah, we've gone again, and we've dropped now down into third position. So we're actually still in a very good bit of track position as we get past Sebastian Vettel around the outside, and he was fighting that one but we get the move done, and we can now chase down Lando. So Hamilton wasn't able to get the undercut on us. I think he only stopped 1 lap earlier. Lando was 2 laps earlier than us, so yeah, thankfully we were able to hold off one of those positions, but now we've got tyres 2 laps fresher than Lando's, and that's given us a bit of a pace advantage. And now we're going to make the move to the outside with the help of DRS. We're going to get through around the outside of Norris and move ourselves back up into the lead of this one. But I am certain this is far from over with the way this race has gone so far.
You're leading the pack, P1.
As soon as we lose DRS and Lando has it, we all of a sudden have a big problem on our hands. But we catch up to some of the lap cars now in this race, and we get past Mick Schumacher, who's not had a good day, and we completely miss our braking point after getting a bit of DRS and slipstream from him, carrying all that extra speed into the first corner. But nonetheless, we hold the lead, and we do have a bit of a gap to the cars behind. Pierre Gasly retires from the race with a mechanical failure, so not good signs for him and AlphaTauri. They've had a bit of a quiet season, so yeah, that's a shame for them. But anyway, Lando Norris gets back in front of us, slows down on the straight though, with Tsunoda coming out of pit lane there very slowly. I don't know if he had a problem, but Tsunoda was very slow on the pit exit there. We managed to thread the needle in between them.
There's been an incident on track.
Yeah, that was very strange. Here's a replay, and he's got the car revving out, so I don't know if he's stuck in gear or if he's got the pit limiter jammed on. I don't know what the issue is there for Tsunoda, but it seems to be okay now. Whatever it was, it's resolved itself, so that was a very strange one for Yuki. But anyway, we won't worry too much about that as we go for a big dive up the inside of Hamilton very late on the brakes. We just about get it stopped. Hamilton switches it back and gets around the outside while we're still trying to sort ourselves on the exit of turn 1, and he gets back through. So yeah, the aggressive move didn't really come off for us, so we need to go again in a few laps time. But as we continue on, Hamilton makes his second stop. Remember, he's got another one to go after this. He's on a 3-stop. We are on a 2-stop strategy. So now we need to push because this is sort of the way things really stand. And that's Matsushita going for the move on us. Great move, great speed from Matsushita because he is a lap down. So yeah, he's trying to re-overtake us there. We'll see if we can get him back because
at the end of this lap.
Yeah, we don't need to be scrapping away with the lap cars, but he's clearly got some decent speed at the moment. So yeah, we need to get our act together because we don't need to be in this situation. We have a little look as we exit turn 5. Matsushita gets out of the way, exit of the hairpin, and we get through now. But yeah, that was a little bit sort of unnecessary, I suppose.
Issues with tyre wear for now. Keep taking care of them.
Of course, Matsushita has every right to try and get his lap back, but yeah, we obviously, if we're getting passed by lap cars, we don't have the pace for whatever reason there. So yeah, we get a new set of boots on, and these will take us to the end of the race.
Okay, stay clear of the white line on the exit. We'll receive a penalty for dangerous driving if you cross over into the track.
And we drop back into 3rd position with the 2 cars in front still yet to make their final stops, and we will have good pace now as they're on wearing softs, and we have the newer compound tyres, medium tyres, but they're much newer, so they'll be fairly decent. But look at this, we've got a wall of lap cars in front of us now, so we'll need to deal with these very swiftly and make sure we don't lose too much time here, because this is always a tricky situation when you're catching up to lap cars. You want to make sure you deal with them efficiently, so we've done that so far. Let's hope we can continue to get through. They continue to move out of the way, and I think we've gotten through the worst of it now. But yeah, that was a bit of a moment there. That was very close actually, that last one, but yeah, we managed to get through. We don't lose really any time. Thankfully they were all obeyed the blue flags, moved out of the way before they cost us time, and now we are actually probably closer
Green flag.
to Norris and Hamilton than we were before, as there's been a bit of an incident behind. We're on board with Kimi Raikkonen, and he's lost the rear end through the stadium section, backs it into the wall, and he swiftly gets off the racing line but that was a bit of a moment there for Kimi. And we're on board now with Antonio Giovinazzi, his teammate who was following him, and he just doesn't quite get out of the way in time. Gio just tags his teammate, so there's a bit of contact there for Giovinazzi, and the Alphas running into each other, the teammates colliding, albeit at low speed. Here's a replay from off board, and yeah, it just didn't quite move out of the way in time. Gio was a little bit probably wondering where he was going to go, and everyone else taking avoiding action, going very wide there as Kimi gets himself sorted and goes again, but he doesn't choose to pit, so clearly nothing wrong with the car. I'd be surprised if he didn't have some rear wing or diffuser damage after backing it into the wall, but he's clearly happy enough to go on with this, and now he's actually taking the fight to the Red Bull car there. So Kimi, plenty of spirit despite going for the spin, and he actually gets that move done. So that's a bit cheeky there from Kimi Räikkönen, but nonetheless, he's
they seem to have an issue.
Well, now Verstappen's got an issue, so that's changing the topic completely, because he is well, he's been fighting his way back in this race. He's into the top 5 now, but with an issue that's going to make things very difficult for him. Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on how that progresses as we get ahead of Lando Norris, and soon enough we'll get ahead of Hamilton as the Brit makes his final stop, and that will move us up and into the lead as Norris is in for his final stop as well. Perez and Verstappen next in the queue behind us. Verstappen will be on a bit of a different strategy, I think, to everyone else, but meanwhile we got this fight going on behind. This is between cars 77 and 99, Bottas and Antonio Giovinazzi scrapping away in this one, and it looks like they are evenly matched, but it will be Gio who comes out in front there, but in fact both of them have front wing damage at the moment, and Bottas a bit slower through the hairpin there, but yeah, both of them on that same lap come in for a front wing change. So I think Gio got his from the collision with Räikkönen, and Bottas got his from a collision with Gio down to turn 3. So yeah, both of them coming in for new front wings, and yeah, they will both go tumbling down the order, though they're already at the back, so they probably can't go too much further down, but nonetheless we continue on and focusing back on our own race. We are nearing the end, well, towards the end now, the later phases of the race, and yeah, we are we just need to get to the end of the race now. We're in the lead, we've got everything under control, so yeah, with a bit of a collision with Ricciardo there, as we find ourselves
Tyre condition is still looking good.
Fighting away with lap cars. We don't need to be in this position. It's happening again. We're around lap cars that are a similar pace to us, and that's just causing problems. So yeah, it's a bit of a frustrating situation at the moment, because here we go, Ricciardo's moving out the way, but he's just going to get DRS and overtake us again. So yeah, it's a bit annoying to have to deal with this, and it is costing us time, and you know, it's not really a problem now, but because we have such a big gap to Hamilton. But if you know, I don't want to be, you know, in this situation risking contact every lap. So what I would like to do is just let him go, give him a bit of space so he stops getting blue flagged in the first place. But I can't do that because we have Sebastian Vettel right behind us as well. So if I let Ricciardo go, all of a sudden I'll just have the same problem with Vettel, who's got some decent pace at this point in the race too. So yeah, it's a really sort of tricky situation at the moment, and I'm just hoping that we can get past Ricciardo and just pull ahead at some point and break DRS range, but it's so hard to do around here with the strength of the slipstream and DRS along the main straight. They just have so much speed. So yeah, Ricciardo moves out the way again, and now we're on board with Vettel, and he's got an issue. So Vettel, mechanical failure here as he moves out the way, and Sebastian Vettel retires from the Mexican Grand Prix, and that brings out the safety car. So that is turning this race on its head. We are coming straight into the pit lane for a set of soft compound tyres, and they will give us plenty of grip to fight with Hamilton and Norris, because as things stood, they had much newer tyres and they'd roll up right behind us on the restart.
Safety car is in this lap. Safety car in this lap. Let's make sure those tyres are up to temperature, and remember, there is no overtaking until the timing line. Stay in position until the green flags.
Alrighty then. Safety car restart time. Just a handful of laps to go. Norris leads the queue from Lewis Hamilton. Then it's Schumacher and Ocon out of sequence in this one. We are 5th in the line, so we need to clear these two if we want any chance of chasing down Norris and Hamilton. Hopefully they'll move out the way early for us, and we'll just be able to push on in this race and go and chase after him. So let's see how this goes. Straight away on the restart, moving to the right, Ocon lifts off and moves out of the way, and Schumacher is going to do the same. But there's been an incident behind us already, and it looks like Ricciardo's involved in it. So Daniel Ricciardo's out of the race here, and we'll go back and see exactly what that incident was. But Daniel Ricciardo is out. Here's a replay, and let's see. Oh, it looks like they've all just queued up at the final corner, and it's caught out Ricciardo and a couple of others. There's a Haas car there as well of I think that's Valtteri Bottas there, and he will begin moving again. No front wing on the Haas car, so he's had a significant collision. Has Valtteri Bottas. He continues on though without a front wing, so Bottas maybe just going to try and get that car to the end of the race with that damage. But we go on board with Ricciardo. We'll see exactly what Ricciardo saw of this incident, and as he gets ready to go out of the stadium section, let's see, and they all just queued up. They almost come to a complete stop in front of him, and he had no time to react to that, and Ricciardo is out of the race. On board with Kimi, and it's exactly the same. Ricciardo comes to a stop with 3 wheels on his wagon, and Kimi Räikkönen has no time to react either. There's another angle of the incident, and yeah, 3 cars having significant damage. We're on board with Bottas, and bang. Again, no time to react. He's lucky enough to keep all 4 wheels on his car, but yeah, what a disaster at the back end of this race. Daniel Ricciardo, championship contender, will come away with a donut. That is confirmed now. Giovinazzi straight into the back of Mazepin as well, as Mazepin had come to a total stop. Here's the onboard with Mazepin, and yeah, he just come to a complete stop. To be fair, the car in front of him did the same, but he had a bit more space. He could have rolled forwards, but anyway, I guess that's all in hindsight. Now here's the onboard with Tsunoda, and you can see there's some weirdness going on in front of him. So yeah, there's not exactly sure what was going on back there, but there was a bit of weirdness going on back at the final corner, and it's cost Daniel Ricciardo a finish here. But anyway, moving on, we go around the outside of Lewis Hamilton and take 2nd position with a nice move there on the penultimate lap of the race. So that is a nice move for us. And meanwhile, behind, Antonio Giovinazzi comes in for a new front wing. So yeah, not going to limp it around to the end. And it looks like Valtteri Bottas has pulled it into the pit lane as well. Just saw a flash of colour there, and it is Valtteri Bottas in the pit lane, and he will get a new front wing as well. So it's been a disastrous day for both the Haas and Alfa Romeo teams here in Mexico. But meanwhile, we are putting the pressure on Lando Norris as we head towards the first corner. We're now on the final lap of the race, and things are getting very close between us. We go full send, but that costs us a bit of time on the exit, and now Norris has got a gap to us, so we don't have an opportunity to make a move here into turn 4. Our best chance now is into the stadium section, so we need to focus on not making any mistakes until then. We just need to stay close. We have a little look into the hairpin, and if we were any closer I would have gone for that, but it's not a huge braking zone. Despite it being a hairpin, it's quite a short chute leading to it, so yeah, there was no opportunity for us there, and a mistake there for us that's cost us some time, and we need to make sure we focus on a good exit here, and we do get a good exit nicely through there, through the left-hander, now into the final sector. We're close enough. DRS down the inside of Lando Norris, and we get the car stopped, turned, and we take the lead of the Mexican Grand Prix here in the stadium section on the final lap of the race. At the last opportunity we could have feasibly done it, we have taken the lead, and around the final corner we come. This is a last-minute move for the lead, but it pays off, and we win the Mexican Grand Prix. Lando Norris will cross the line for 2nd. Frustrating for him, so close to victory. Hamilton was just watching on at the end there. He crosses the line 3rd, but what an ending to this race.
Absolutely fantastic. It's a brilliant result. Well done.
Holy moly. I wasn't sure if that was going to happen, but we got there in the end.
It's victory in Mexico then, and what a victory it is after an incredible Grand Prix. Anthony, tell me, what was it that helped them achieve this success?
Well, you know what they say, to finish first you have to finish. And that fact was clear today, with lots of retirements having a big effect on the outcome of the race. As a driver, you tend to keep reliability concerns to the back of your mind and just focus on what's in front of you. But for the teams, races like this can be very stressful.
Well, what a thrilling end to an incredible Grand Prix weekend. Our top three finishers should be incredibly happy with what they were able to achieve out there today.
So it's another race win for us here at the Mexican Grand Prix. That is fantastic for our championship challenge. Lando Norris keeps his fight going with a second position, and Lewis Hamilton has a decent points haul with third.
Amazing talent out on the track today, but Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day?
Carlos Sainz certainly wasn't someone to scoff about. His ability to follow race strategies throughout with pinpoint precision has to be commended.
It's time to check out the Constructors Standings. It was a tough race for our championship leaders who lose ground at the top of the table. Meanwhile, good work from Aston Martin this weekend, who pushed themselves further up the order. Well, that was certainly an incredible weekend of racing. Be sure to join myself and Ant for more exciting Formula One action soon.
Well, how on earth do we summarise that one? Another win for us. That is absolutely awesome. P2 for Lando Norris, so he is going well at the moment. Another DNF for Daniel Ricciardo, so that'll be a further hit to his focus. He has really just had such rotten luck recently with mechanical DNFs, the crash here, which wasn't really his fault. The crash at Monza as well was another just disaster in his season. After it started so well, he was looking so strong for the first half of the season before all this come along. So it's really been a really tough run for Ricciardo. But yeah, Hamilton third for Mercedes, another decent points haul. We'll get to the championship standings soon. Sergio Perez fourth, decent result for him at his home race. He got the better of his Red Bull teammate, but he didn't really have the pace to fight for the podium. Max Verstappen fifth, decent recovery after he found himself pointing in the wrong direction on the first lap. Fernando Alonso P6, so he was the best of the rest after the fight at the front between the top teams. He even beat Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari, who made a decent recovery into 7th position after he had that grid penalty. Nikita Mazepin just sort of holding station. He started 7th, finished 8th, so more points for Mazepin in the Mercedes. That will help him and his confidence in that car. Lance Stroll points for Aston Martin in 9th position, and Nobuharu Matsushita getting points for AlphaTauri. He finishes up in 10th. So good run from him today. So as for the Drivers' Championship then, it is Max Verstappen who leads the way. We sit in second. We've gained 2 places in that race ahead of Norris and Ricciardo. We are 3 points away from Verstappen. Norris remains in third, getting passed by us but passing Ricciardo. He is 7 points adrift. Ricciardo 13 points away from Verstappen, but still well in contention. Hamilton is 5th and he is 54 points away, so he's realistically out of the fight, but mathematically still a potential contender. As for the constructors, McLaren lead the way, 72 points ahead of Red Bull. We sit in third, 88 points away from the top. On to the interviews.
Amazing performance out there. I'm sure you're pretty happy with that. It's looking like the championship is already won. Do you think there's still time for this to change?
There's always time for change.
We all underestimated you, didn't we?
Yeah, thanks. I don't know. It's been a really great run for us recently, so we've got a really good feeling inside the team, and things are going well.
You left a lot of paint on the walls today. Were you struggling for grip?
Wait.
Great. Well, that's everything.
All right. Once again, we beat Hamilton in the rivalry for this race, and we move ourselves on to 28 points versus his 26. So still pretty close between us, but we should have that one under control, I think. But yeah, we level up our acclaim to level 20 now, so that is nice. I don't think we unlock another sponsor. I think that's at 25. So that's unfortunate, but we do complete all our sponsor objectives for this race, and that brings in a lot of money for us. But anyway, as for activities, this time we are going to go for the G-Force training to help Tsunoda as much as possible, as we always do with these activities, always trying to help out our teammate be the best that he can be, because we need him for the constructors, so that will help his focus and racecraft. And with all that sponsorship money, we're going to buy the resource point generation upgrade on the aero department, so that will bring us some more resource points. So we go through the very short timeline towards the next event.
They'll be on the car ready for the next race weekend.
And we are stopped by a personnel department event, so let's check that out.
Hey, the personnel team wants to run this one past you.
So it's another one of these mental health ones, and long story short, we can spend 50k and get 750 resource points, and I will accept that offer any day of the week.
You handled that well. Thank you.
So we continue through to the Brazilian Grand Prix with no further department issues. So that's just about going to cover everything for this one. Let me know who you think is going to win this championship. Will Max Verstappen be able to hold on, or will we be able to take it in the closing races? Will Lando Norris find himself in the right place at the right time, or will Daniel Ricciardo be able to forge a comeback after his run of bad form? Let me know what you think. But yeah, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Really appreciate it. Feel free to give me some feedback in the comments. It's always very helpful. But other than that, I will see you next time. Goodbye.